All right, so again, welcome to Intro to Business Planning. A little bit about me. My name is Leyanis, and I am originally from Miami. I went to school. I did college at Florida International University in Miami. My background is in communications, and then I did grad school at University College London, where I got an MSc in entrepreneurship. Diane, I will answer your question at the end. I have been working with small businesses for more than 10 years now, and I've owned my own business for a little over 3 years now. Through my business, I've been able to win a few awards, including the American Entrepreneurship Award and the Miami Herald Business Plan Challenge. I've also gotten to travel to different parts of the world, different parts of the country, supporting businesses in both English and Spanish. So a little about the SBDC. So the Temple Small Business Development Center was founded in 1983. We currently serve businesses within Philadelphia County, Lower Montgomery County, and Lower Bucks County as well. We are funded through the Small Business Administration, the Department of Community and Economic Development regionally, and then Temple University and the Fox Business School locally. So the Small Business Administration funds us federally or at the nationwide level, and then DCED funds us regionally, and then Temple funds us locally. Our mission is helping businesses not only start, but also grow and prosper as well. And our goal at the Temple Small Business Development Center is providing entrepreneurs and small business owners with the knowledge that they need so that they can make smart decisions and really grow their businesses. For those of you who have never heard of us before and have no idea what services we offer, we offer both education and consulting services through our center, which are either low cost or free of charge. So we have training programs, we have a construction management certificate, we also have ESWS. We've actually rebranded and now it's Bootstrapping Bootcamp. So it's our 8-week business planning course. And I'll be talking a little bit more about that later on. We also have events such as business roundtables, we have networking, and we also offer training on hard and soft skills. We have an incubator and a co-working space that you can take advantage of, but of course the co-working space is currently closed because of the pandemic. And then on the other side, we offer consulting, one-on-one consulting. We also assist with accessing capital. So if you are in need of support preparing your loan application or want to be matched with a lender, that's something that we do. And then we also have a legal clinic and a branding clinic. So through our legal clinic, we're able to offer legal services free of charge to small business owners. So we help in creating operating agreements, partnership agreements. Our legal team also looks over like real estate agreements. There's a lot that they do, and so I won't really get into that right now. And then we also have a branding team as well in-house that support business owners by creating logos, identity packages, flyers, brochures, etc. All right, so the first thing I want you to think about is why you are actually here today, like why it is that you signed up for this course, why you're interested in starting a business and in business planning. And think about whether or not you're actually ready. So do you have some of the questions that you can ask yourself is, one, do you have a viable business idea? Do you have an idea for something that is actually going to be successful? Is this something that you can commit to for 3 to 5 years, which is usually the amount of time that it takes to really grow a business? Do you have managerial experience in the industry? So, if you're just starting off, not to say that if you have no experience in what you're doing, you won't be successful, but it definitely helps if you already have some experience coming in, because it is something that investors will look for, and we'll talk about that a little later. Also, do you have capital and collateral? Or if not, what's your credit score looking like? Because for most loans, if you're interested in applying for a loan and getting a loan, for most loans, you will need at least a 600 as a credit score. Also, think about whether or not you are entrepreneur material. So, how do you feel about your current company? Why is it that you want to leave where you're currently at? are you a people person? You're going to have to talk to, potential employees, potential partners, potential clients. So, are you willing or are you extroverted enough to have those conversations with people? Also, what type of stress do you currently have in your life? So, do you have a family? Do you have financial issues? Are you currently in a very stressful situation? Are you mentally sound right now? Do you have the health to really move this forward? And if you do have stress in your life, how well are you currently handling that stress? Because as an entrepreneur, there's going to be a lot of highs and there's going to be a lot of lows as well. And also think about whether or not this is a good time to start. Is this a good time within your life? I know that, we've seen that there have been a lot of people, a lot of individuals who are looking to start businesses right now because they've either been furloughed or they've been laid off, or they're just looking to do something different. And so for some of you, this might be a really good time to start something. And then also think about whether or not you look forward to becoming an entrepreneur with the same excitement as you did with your first real job. So is this something that when you're fantasizing about this and when you visualize yourself as an entrepreneur, is this something that excites you? Is this something that you are passionate about, right? Are you working on something that you're passionate about? Is this something that you care about? And is this something that you're going to wake up every single day wanting to do? Because that's really what's going to drive you and what's going to push you every single day to continue growing the business. Think about what you're going to gain out of this experience. So independence, maybe you might be gaining some independence by becoming an entrepreneur. You might also be gaining control, right? Being able to make your own decisions, to delegate tasks to others. You will also have a direct impact on your success, right? So, if you get up every single morning and make 100 cold calls, that has a direct impact on your potential success, right? There's no one that's going to be pushing you every single day to get the job done. It's really up to you to have that passion, to have that drive to be successful. This might also be a financial opportunity for you. So, this might be a way for you to make money, to be financially independent, to pay back all of your debt. And then, you could also be potentially leaving behind a legacy, right? So, this is something that you can potentially pass on to family members, to your kids. What you might be giving up by becoming an entrepreneur, a regular paycheck for one. So if you decide to go on your own, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to make ends meet. You're also going to have to figure out, benefits, right? Like, how are you going to go about paying for health insurance and, the vacations that you enjoy. And then you might also be giving up other resources and support that are currently being offered through your employer. You might be giving up personal time. So you might just have less time to go around to spend with family and friends and with loved ones. You might also be giving up paid vacation and paid time off. And you might be giving up status. So, if you're currently a manager somewhere, or, the VP of an organization, you might be giving that up and really starting from scratch, from zero. Really think about how you feel about these trade-offs. So it's not necessarily this isn't just an emotional question, it's also just a practical one. Are you willing to give up these things so that you can gain these things? And it's not really just about asking yourself whether or not you can adjust, but more so asking yourself if this is actually something that you want to adjust for. Is it actually going to be worth it for you in the end? So Guy Kawasaki tells us that if you're looking to become an entrepreneur, a founder, an owner, you really need to get ready for a marathon, because starting a company is not a sprint, and it's actually not as simple as creating a product, selling it, and cashing out. Entrepreneurship is actually a marathon that's combined with a decathlon. That is, you have to do a lot of things well for a long time. So think about that. When you become an entrepreneur, you have to do a lot of things well for a long time. So even if your goal is potentially cashing out, you still have to, do something really well for 3 to 5 years before you can actually sell your business to someone else. And I don't want to say all of these things to discourage you. One thing to keep in mind is that now more than ever, we really need the power of new ideas. We need new businesses and we need new jobs to be created. But you know, new ideas aren't necessarily easy. It's really about the execution, right? Ideas are nothing without the execution. So we need your ideas, but we also need you to get up and to really chase after your dreams so that your idea can become a reality. Any questions up until this point? Let me just pull up the chat really quickly. All right, no questions so far. All right, let's continue. Oop. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what it takes to actually build a successful business. So, you know, what is it that you actually need to have a business that's successful? So these are the factors of a successful business. One, you're going to need a business concept, right? So you're going to need an idea, one that is viable. You're also going to have an understanding of the market. You're going to have to go into an industry that is healthy. You should have a clear strategic position. So you need to have an understanding of what kind of business you're in and what kind of business you're not in, what industry you're in and what industry you're not in. You also need to have a capable management, and you need to have motivated employees, because we know that our employees are really what make us successful. You need to have financial control. So, you know, not only having access to finances, but also being able to manage those finances effectively. You're going to have to be able to adapt to change. You're going to have values and integrity, not just as an individual, but also as a business. You need to figure out, you know, who you are as a business. And then lastly, you're going to have to respond. Aside from adapting to change, you're also going to have to respond to global opportunities, global competition, potentially even, you know, global regulations. All right, so first and foremost, business concepts. Meeting needs is the basis of all business, right? So we're in business to solve a problem, to fulfill a desire, to meet some sort of need. This is why all of us are in business, right? You're doing it so that you can solve someone's problem or fulfill some sort of need or desire. So within your business concept, you should be incorporating at least one of the following. You can incorporate more than one of these, but you should have at least one of them. So some successful business elements that should be included within your business concept are, well, business concepts should either bring forth something new, something better. They should be serving either an underserved or a new market. You should be providing either a new delivery or distribution system, and you should be increasing integration in some sort of way. So in regards to something new, you might be bringing forth either a new product, a service, feature, or technology. You might just be doing something better. So you might just be building a better product or a better service, or you might be incorporating a better feature, or you may just have better technology than someone else. You might also be serving an underserved or new market. So, you know, maybe your competitors aren't currently satisfying this market that already exists, or you're just operating in either an underserved or an unserved location. And lastly, you might just be going into a niche market. You could also be implementing either a new delivery system or a new distribution channel. So an example of this is the internet, for instance. Maybe you're in an industry which is hesitant to embrace technology. So you come along and you start offering your product or service online. And being able to offer your product or service online allows you to, one, reach more customers, and two, serve a wider geographic area. 1 second, because there seems to be a question in the chat. Okay, so good question, Walter. So Walter's question is, in terms of global regulation, this would only occur if your business would go beyond US borders, correct? So the answer to your question is actually yes and no. So yes, if you are looking to do business abroad, whether it's another country or another continent, you will have to adhere to their laws and the regulations. But think about GDPR, for instance, right? That's a global regulation that we all, for the most part, have to adhere to, and has really changed how we are collecting data, how we are and what we're doing with the data that we're collecting from clients. So that's just one of the examples that I can think of right now. But again, to answer your question, it really just depends. But in terms of global regulation, you might also just want to look at like what other countries are doing and seeing how you can really iterate and adapt your business, even if you're not currently serving or within that country. All right, next slide. Okay, there's another question. Tony, I'll answer your question a little later because I don't want to get too off topic. And actually, the GDPR example was just an example so that I could answer Walter's question. So we can get into that a little later. So going back to business concepts, and some of the things that you can include within a business concept are, another thing to keep in mind is that you can maybe just be increasing integration. So you could be producing or manufacturing a product, and you're also, so you're not only producing the product, but you're also selling that product as well, right? So the one company is both manufacturing and selling the product, which doesn't always happen. Or you may just be offering more products or services in one location. So you might just be making things easier and more convenient for customers. Another factor of a successful business is understanding your market. So first and foremost, you need to define that market. What is the market? How big is that market? You're gonna wanna gather market data. So you really need to, in order to really understand that market, you need to do your research and collect data so that you understand, so that you not only define that market, but also understand the ins and outs of that market. You're also going to want to evaluate the market, and then lastly, determine whether or not the market is ready for the product or service that you're offering. Another factor of a successful business is industry health and trends. So you're going to want to examine the direction that the industry is headed, right? Are you going into an industry that's growing, or are you going into an industry that is not growing, that has been stagnant for a really long time, or that that actually most companies are trying to get out of because there is no more money to be made within that industry? You're also going to want to look at major trends, whether the industry is consolidating. So again, are people getting out of the industry? You're going to want to look at what prices are looking like within the industry. So the cost of supplies, or how much it costs to do business within that industry. You're going to want to examine consumer demand. So whether or not you're in an industry that's hot right now, that's relevant, that clients are looking for and are looking to purchase products within. And then you're also going to want to examine the availability of supplies. So, if you need a widget or, a nut and bolt within your industry so that you can create your product or service, is it easy to access those supplies and those tools and those materials so that you can create and manufacture your product or service? And then you're also going to want to examine global competition, because you're not necessarily just competing with, business owners in your same city or, in your same block. You're also competing with business nationally, regionally, and even internationally as well. Another factor of a successful business is a clear strategic position. So a clear strategic position enables you to capture a particular place in the market. It also distinguishes you from competitors. It impacts different aspects of your business. It allows customers to know what to expect of your business. And lastly, this would be defined within your mission statement. So again, your strategic positioning is allows you to examine what business you're in and what business you're not in. So to give you an example, there might be 4 different apparel companies, but maybe one of them is similar to Forever 21, and they are catering to a younger clientele. And then we have a apparel company that only sells like work apparel and clothing. Then we may have another apparel company that only sells jeans. We may have another apparel company that maybe only sells to men who are big and tall. So they're all apparel companies, but they're all catering to a different demographic. Another factor of a successful business is capable management. So in order to determine whether or not your management is capable, you're going to want to look at things like experience. Do they have experience in their role in that industry, in working with small businesses? Also, you're going to want to evaluate whether or not they're self-aware. Do they understand both their weaknesses and their strengths? Whether or not they're flexible, especially if they're looking to work within a startup or a small business, they're going to have to be flexible because things are going to be different every single day, especially when you're just starting out. And you want to make sure that these individuals are also receptive on working on different types of tasks, because again, the workday may look very differently than it would if they were working a 9 to 5 somewhere. And then lastly, whether or not they're able to work well with others. So, as management, they're going to have teams that they're going to oversee, that they're going to delegate tasks to. So they need to be people persons. You're also going to need, in order to have a successful business, you're also going to need motivated employees. So one thing to note is that employees and managers are going to be crucial to success. And so in a tight labor market like the one that we're in right now, companies are competing for stellar applicants. And so as a business, having a good reputation is going to attract good employees. Also, having a good reputation having good morale within the business and having a great company culture is going to impact productivity as well. And then in order to build that reputation and in order to impact that productivity, you're going to want to examine not only your management style, but also your policies, and really include your employees and your managers within that process so that you can build a company and a brand that they're not only, happy to work for, but that, that they will help grow as well. Another factor of a successful business is financial control. So one thing to note is that things actually take a lot longer and cost more than anticipated. So, we're going to talk about this a little later, but within your business plan, you might assume that some of your supplies may cost one thing, but they actually end up costing someone else or something. They might end up costing more or less because there might have been a change within the economy or a change within your industry, for instance. So keep in mind that things are often going to take longer, or they may actually cost more than anticipated. So you should really want to build cushions around your business so that you can, so if things end up taking longer or if they end up costing more, you don't end up going out of business, and you really are protecting yourself in your future. So yeah, you're going to want to build financial cushions within your plan and also within your business in real life. You're also going to want to establish good financial procedures at the start. So you should have things like a bank account for your business. You should also have accounting software that you're currently working with, or at least a spreadsheet where you're inputting all of your income and expenses. You should have a relationship with an accountant. And then lastly, you should be reviewing your financial statements on a monthly basis at the very least. I honestly think that you should be reviewing your financial statements on a daily basis, if possible, if not on a weekly basis. I think that once a month doesn't really allow you, if something were to happen, or if you were close to like running out of cash, for instance, only checking your statements once a month may not actually give you enough time to make the change and to make the pivots that you need so that you can essentially get yourself out of a bad situation. So in order to have another factor of a successful business are being able to anticipate changes. So this may be technological changes, this could be sociological changes. So changes within society, right? You know, changes in demographic or lifestyle, or, you know, just changes in trends. And then you may also have changes in your competition. So there, you know, may be new businesses coming in every single day, depending on what industry you're in. Prices may get lower, but they may also get higher because of competitors. And then your marketing may also have to be more aggressive, which means that, you know, it may require either more people to take on the role, or it may just cost you more money as well. Another factor of a successful business are having values and integrity. So you're going to want to give your company character, almost like if it was a person, and this will allow you to attract good employees. Values and integrity are going to include any business, social, or environmental goals that you may have for the business. It will also allow you to create a certain type of workplace, right? We've already talked about this, and will also allow you to deliver a higher level of quality to customers, right? If you have values and if you have integrity in everything that you're doing in every process, if all of your employees have values and they have integrity, this is just going to allow you to do your job really well for a long period of time. And I think this might be, yeah, this is the last thing. So the last factor that you want to keep in mind in order to build a successful business is global opportunities and trends. So some global considerations are target market, right? You may be looking to target customers in different countries. You may also have competitors in different countries. You may be getting your supplies from different countries. You may be getting your labor from different countries. You may be impacted by certain legal issues from different countries. You may want to look at partnering, depending on what your vision is for growth. You might want to partner with someone in another country so that you can continue growing or even expand into another country. And then you also want to think about social responsibility as well. So we've already touched on this. These are the 4 C's, and it's really, this goes back to figuring out why it is that you're here, right? Why is it that you want to start the business? Why is this a good time? You know, why now, and why you? Like, why is it that you want to start this now? And so some of the reasons for that kind of fall into these 4 different buckets. So the first is having control, right? So if you start a business, you have more control. So, you know, if you have a smaller company, then you would have more control than you would in a larger company. You may also just want to be challenged. So this allows you to be challenged every single day because there are a lot of changes that you're going to have to adapt to. This may also allow you to be creative, and maybe that's something that you really care about. Being, you know, maybe you want to be like the chief creative officer of your business, or you want to be in charge of all of the branding or all of the marketing. And so this is going to allow you to not only be creative, but to manage other creative people as well. And lastly, you may be in this for the money, and that's completely fine. And so remember that if you have modest goals for your money, right? If you are only really looking to do this to like supplement your income, then this is going to allow you to have more control. But if you want to have a large amount of revenue, then it may mean this may require outside investment. And so if you have outside investment, then you may be sacrificing some of your control. All right, I'm gonna look at the questions before we move on. Tony, so you're asking where you can collect data from. I'm gonna be talking about this pretty soon. But if you have any other questions a little later on, just let me know. And then Diane, in regards to your question about whether or not you're going to be receiving a copy of these slides, so I may make some alterations to the presentation before I send it out. The reason for that is because a lot of this information we do cover during our 8-week business planning course. And so I don't want to give our material away. Because, you know, this is something that belongs to the Small Business Development Center. And so before I send it out, I may just make some changes, but I will get back to you all on that. Let's continue. All right, so a business plan, and really, you know, this is, all right, so this is, oh, let me close the chat. All right, so the business plan. This is why we're all here, and this is a webinar on an introduction to business planning. So first and foremost, one of the questions that I hear more often than not is, you know, do I even have to do this? Why do I need to have a business plan? You know, it's so much work. Is this something that I should actually invest my time, energy, and resources into? And so to answer your question, for those of us who have less than 20 employees, you actually only have a 30% or 37% chance of surviving past 4 years, and only 9% of businesses actually survive past 10 years. The failure rate for new businesses is actually 70 to 80% in the first year, and only about half of those who survive the first year will remain in business the next 5 years. Another thing to keep in mind is that 9 out of 10 businesses failures are caused because of a lack of not only general business management skills. So again, this goes back to whether or not you have experience, right? And it's not only experience within your industry or within your skill set, but it's also having business experience. And then lastly, you know, businesses will also fail because of a lack of planning. So most business owners that I speak to don't have a business plan, or they don't have an updated business plan, and they aren't really using this as their foundation or their Bible. And it's very important. So why should you create a business plan? One, because it allows you to get your ideas on paper, right? You get to make your mistakes on paper without spending any money or without having to hire anyone. So, you know, if you have these like crazy ideas and you have this grand vision for your business, write it down on a sheet of paper. You know, this is really where you get to make your mistakes, and really allows you to talk about your ideas and to write out your ideas without any judgment. It also allows you to work out your model, right? So, you know, you may have questions about your customers, or you may have questions about how you're actually going to operate the business, or you may have questions around the marketing channels that you're going to be using. Having a business plan allows you to do the research, and then not only to do the research, but to get answers to all of the questions that you have. It allows you to do research so that you can become an expert within your industry. It also allows you to create, to do a feasibility analysis, and we'll talk a little bit about this a little later. It allows you to have an operating guide. So, you know, this really allows you to think through like all of the processes within your business, who you're going to hire, when you're going to hire them, how much money you're going to need, who your customers are going to be. It allows you to prepare for financing. So I think of business plans in two different ways. I think of them as an internal document, which allows you to make your mistakes on paper, but I also see them as an external document, and as a document that you can use for marketing, to attract investors, to attract employees, to attract potential partners. And so if you are interested in going after financing, if you would like either a loan, or if you want investment from, you know, family or friends, a business plan is a really great way to showcase your business. And it also, lastly, a business plan allows you to develop and measure goals for yourself. So, you know, you can write your goals down, and then as you continue hitting them, or, you know, if you don't hit your goals, then you can make those changes on paper. And just keep in mind that it's the planning that's important. The planning is what actually will help you succeed. It's not the plan, it's the planning. And again, developing a plan really allows you to examine all aspects of your business. It allows you to look at different factors that may or may not affect you. It allows you to ask yourself and your team those really tough questions like, are we actually going to be able to do this? Are we going to be able to succeed? And again, it allows you to make your mistakes on paper. Any questions on this before I move on? All right, I'm going to continue. So we're going to talk about getting your plan started now. So this is the business plan process. First, you're going to want to lay out your business concept, and I'm going to show you a tool that you can actually use so that you can lay out your business concept. So really, this is just being able to get your business concept on paper. The next step is gathering data. So, you know, you're gonna have this idea, you're gonna get everything on paper, including, you know, who your customers are going to be, how you're going to reach those customers, your competitive advantage, so what makes you different from other competitors and businesses that are out there. You're gonna make a note of potential partners, you're gonna make a note of how you're gonna make money, what your costs are going to be. You're gonna wanna write all of that down on paper, and then you're gonna go out and gather data. Because you're going to have, and we're going to talk about this a little later as well, but you're going to have all of these assumptions around your business. And so you're going to go out and either validate or not the assumptions that you have around your business and around your idea. Then after you've gathered all of this data, you're going to refine your concept based on that data. And then you're going to want to outline the specifics of the business. So once you've laid out your business concept, you've gathered some data, you've refined the concept, right? Because you're going to get some information and then realize that, okay, well, you know, I had this assumption about something, but, you know, now I've received some data or this new information, and now what I wrote down no longer makes sense. So you're going to want to iterate that on paper. And then you're going to get really nitty gritty on the specifics of your business. And you're going to dive a little deeper on the specifics of your business, which is essentially the sections of your business plan. So you're going to want to go into your marketing. You're going to want to go into your operations. You're going to want to go into technology if you're going to be a technology business. And then lastly, you're going to want to put your plan in a compelling form. So this may either be a business plan, so like a 20-page document, or it might be a presentation or a pitch deck. It might be a one-pager or like a one-page executive summary or a one-page capability statement. It's really up to you how you decide to showcase the information. I saw that I had a question, so let me just. Yeah, so can I go over the layout of the business concept again? So in a bit, I'm going to show you a tool that you can use to lay out your business concept. But to answer your question, when you lay out your business concept, it's really just trying to get your business idea on paper. So you know, you're really just going to make a note of all of the different areas of your business. So who your customers are, your cost, how you're going to make money, where you're going to sell your products and services, what your products and services actually are, how you're different from competitors, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so in regards to research, so the first thing is laying out your business concept. Then you're going to want to go and gather data. But before you do that, you're going to want to make some statements, and you're going to write down some assumptions around your business. So some assumptions around your business might be, okay, well, I think that my potential customers are women between the ages of 18 and 25 who are tech savvy, who live in urban areas. So that's a statement that you're making. You may also say, okay, well, you know, I think that I currently only want to sell my product or service within Philadelphia. Another assumption that you might have is, well, you know, I don't think that I have any competition. And so you're gonna write down all of these questions that you may have around your business and all of these assumptions that you have around your business, and then you're gonna go out there and get data so that you can challenge those assumptions and really get the answers to the questions that you have. Some other examples of a statement that you could make is there's a need for a sporting goods store to serve the city of Philadelphia. And so some of the ways that the challenges are essentially questions that you're asking. So you're going to have a statement that you're writing, and then you're going to have challenges or questions around that statement. So challenges might be, how many sporting goods stores are there now? how much business do they have? Are residents currently dissatisfied with current stores? What are their demographic trends that should say in Philadelphia and not Chandler? And then lastly, what are the trends in the sporting good industry nationally? So again, you're going to have an assumption around your business. You're going to create questions around that assumption. And then you're going to go out and gather data to either validate or not the questions and the statement that you have. And so in regards to gathering information, once you've created a list of statements, excuse me, a list of statements and a list of questions around the business, then you're going to go out and gather some information. And so keep in mind that accurate information is going to lead to better business decisions. This is also going to make for a more persuasive presentation. It's overall going to make you look better because it's going to make you look like you know what it is that you're talking about. And so if you're new to your industry or if you're new to business management, then you might want to take more time for research. And I get this question a lot. Well, how do I know once I've done like all of the research that I need to do? Keep in mind that, you're going to continuously be doing research around your business. And so, as an expert, as a business owner, as a founder, you should be constantly doing research around your business. And so, this isn't something that's going to get done in an hour. And, just because you're creating a business plan today doesn't mean that it's still going to be accurate in a year or in 3 years or in 5 years. You're going to probably have to go back online or to a library or, to a conference or whatever it is. You're going to have to do research, and then you're going to find out some new information, and you're probably going to end up updating either a part of your business plan or all of it. So, in regards to how much research should you be doing? Well, enough where you feel comfortable answering the tough questions. So, a good practice and a good exercise might be creating, a presentation based off of your business plan, and then just going out and either pitching it to different people or presenting to your family and friends and seeing what questions they have. And if you're not able to answer the questions that they have around your business, then you haven't done enough research. You're going to start off by seeking general information first. So you might just go to Google and maybe, in the search, put your industry name. So, you might be in beauty products. So you might just put beauty products in the US, or sporting goods stores in the US, or consulting companies in the US, and just see what comes up. Another thing to keep in mind is that, while 1 hour isn't going to be enough, I also don't expect you to do to do research for an entire year, or to do research for maybe like 3 to 5 years before you actually feel like you're ready. I think that you need to just do enough research where you feel confident and where you can answer those questions. But it's not necessary to like write a dissertation or anything like that. So someone was asking earlier about where you can go to gather data. So there are some online resources that you can go to. There's government data that you can access, like the census, for instance. You can also go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, for instance. You may also go to newspapers. You may want to look into like industry studies or publications. You might want to look into like research services. You might go to company websites. So websites could include some websites that you could look at are maybe competitor websites, or the websites of potential customers. If maybe you are B2B and are looking to do business with either government agencies or with bigger businesses and corporations, you might want to look into your suppliers or potential partners. And then of course, Google, Yahoo, Bing. You can go to the search engines and then just do general searches as well. So some of the online sources, some of the government data, the US Census Bureau, you can go to www.census.gov. You can look at the economic census. You can look at the county business patterns. You can look at current industrial reports as well. The census is really great, and they have a ton of webinars every single day around different topics. So I just encourage you to go to their website and to start just getting acclimated with their website, because they also have webinars on how to use the census for research. You can also go to state data centers. So you can go to www.census.gov/CDC. Or you could even go to trade association. So maybe you are a psychologist and you want to go to your trade association, like the American Psychology Association, for information. They usually will put out some sort of report every single year. Banks also put out reports every single year. So you might want to reach out to your banking institution and say, hey, are you current? They mostly do research around like small businesses, mortgages, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, if that is information that's relevant to you, then you could probably reach out to your bank and say, hey, I saw that do you currently have a report on this, and can I get access to it? I'm going to fly through some of these things because we're running out of time. And again, I want to make sure that I have enough time for your questions. So there are some offline sources that you can look into. You can go to the library, you can come to the SBDC, you can go to different trade and industry associations, and then you could also pay for someone to do research for you, but this can be relatively expensive. Some of the research, so for those of you who are existing businesses, I'm not sure how many of you are already in business, but for those of you who are, within your business plan, you may want to include some historical performance for your company. So this could include past trends in your cost of sales, right? So your cost of doing business, has that gone up or has that gone down? Past sales overall, so how much money has been coming in? You might want to show like overhead expense patterns. You might want to show any variations from your budget projections. And you might also want to include like profit margins, right? So, not only showing how much money and how much income you've had, but also showing, what your expenses are looking at like, and then giving us a percentage of, which is essentially your profit margin. Letting us know, how well your business is actually doing and how that matches up or how that relates to other businesses within your industry. Other options for market research include personal observation. So, just looking at people watching. You may also want to do an informational interview. So maybe either calling a competitor or calling a supplier or calling a potential client and just having a conversation with them. And don't tell them that you're going to start a business, but, you could just kind of ask questions and maybe act like you're going to be a client of theirs. You could also, send out a survey, right? So you might want to use like Google Forms, create a survey on that, or SurveyMonkey, and then you just send it out to a bunch of people, and then see what they tell you, what you could actually find from the data that you collect. Focus groups might also be good. So gathering maybe 8 to 10 people in a room and asking them questions that are relevant for your business. You may also want to learn from other businesses. And then again, you could also talk to the competition. I've already talked about this. All right, so once you've gathered all of this data, you're going to want to evaluate that data. Essentially, I think one of the most important points within the slide is that you're going to want to go to multiple sources for your research. So you should not just be going to the census and saying, all right, that's it, I have all of the information that I need. You should go to various different sources, and then based on the information that you gather from all of these different sources, you're going to draw conclusions from that data. You may also want to do a feasibility analysis when you're first starting off. So feasibility analysis allows you to figure out how feasible your business idea actually is. So, and this is also something that you can do even before you lay out your business, your business on a sheet of paper. So before you even do that, you could do a feasibility analysis that allows you to really re-examine the business concepts. It allows you to potentially identify roadblocks. It allows you to do like a more involved analysis, and you should really start the feasibility analysis by evaluating yourself, right? So really thinking about if this is a good time for you, if you have the skills that you need, if you have the funding that you need, et cetera, et cetera. So this is an example of a feasibility analysis that you could do. You could start off by asking yourself how much you would like to take home each month. Then thinking about your overhead costs. So what would your potential expenses be? Excuse me, how much you can make off of each product or service. And then how many of those do you need to make and sell before you're profitable? So to give you an example, if you would like to take home $5,000 per month, You may have $1,000 worth of expenses every single month, and those $1,000 go toward insurance, your website, advertising, and display materials. And so you're looking to sell, you sell necklaces. So you're looking to sell your gemstone necklaces for $50, but it costs you about $10 to in materials in order to produce the necklaces. And so in order to take home $5,000 per month, then you would need to make and sell 150 necklaces a month, which is about 38 per week, so that you can make those $5,000 that you're looking for. So this is the tool that I was actually talking about. This is a business model canvas. You can actually just go to Google. And this is also something that, because I will be following up to send out a survey. And so in that survey, I'll include a copy of this that you can use to lay out your business concept. And so again, this is a business model canvas. The way that I usually describe this is just as like a visual one-page business plan. But it really allows you to make a note of the different areas of the business. So, you know, on one side, we have customer segments. So those are potential customers. You want to talk about the types of relationships that you want to have with those customers. So, you know, do you see yourself working with them for a long period of time? Or do you see yourself, you know, selling something to them once and then they would come back for maintenance because you're selling like a very high-end product? Like, what does that relationship look like? You know, are they going to your store every single day or once a month or whatever else? How are you going to reach those customers? You would include within channels. Your value propositions are the value that you're providing for customers. Key activities are the activities that you are going to be focusing on. So if you are a bakery, as an example, your main activity might be baking, right? You know, creating cupcakes and cookies and brownies and whatever else. And so within your key resources, you may need all of the equipment and, you know, maybe access to a commercial kitchen so that you can move forward with the activities that you want to focus on, which is baking. But then you may have key partners who are taking care of something else. So, you know, maybe you really only want to focus on the baking, but you want someone else to focus on the packaging, or you want someone else to focus on the marketing of the business, or you want someone else to focus on the distribution and the delivery of your goods. So, you know, really think about like what you want to be in the business of and what you want your business to actually be doing. And then for everything else, you can just outsource, you can delegate, and you can partner with others. At the bottom, you have cost structure, which is really just making a note of all of your costs. So, you know, what your potential expenses might be. Again, going back to the bakery example, you know, the commercial kitchen is a cost that you may be incurring. Also, you know, all of the equipment, maybe getting another staff member, you know, purchasing all of the ingredients, whatever. And then revenue streams, you know, how are you actually going to make money? So for the bakery, it would be selling those baked goods and those baked items. We don't have time for this video, but if you go to YouTube and you just put in business model canvas explained, there's like a 2-minute video that goes into like all of the blocks in depth. And you can also, again, if you just go to Google and search business model canvas, you'll find examples of the business model, which are pretty helpful. And so it'll look something like this. Like once you've actually, this is a variation of it. This is called a lean canvas. It's essentially the same thing, but the boxes are kind of different. But it would look something like this. So, you know, you're going to have like your customer segments, and they're going to want to include information about your customer segment. They have some information on revenue streams, their cost structure, and this one's a little different. So I won't go into some of the other boxes, but, you know, channels, they say that, you know, they're going to access customers by giving out flyers on the street, social media, word of mouth, and they're also going to have special offers during their launch. Let's go through this pretty quickly. So business plan components. So what actually goes in a business plan? You're going to have an executive summary that's usually 2 to 3 pages. Then you're going to have a company description. One thing to keep in mind is that your business plan should be about like 20 pages or so. And so each one, not all of these different sections are going to be relevant to your business. And another thing to keep in mind is that each one of these different sections, maybe like 1 to 3 pages. So you're going to have an executive summary. You're going to write that last because it's supposed to be a summary of your overall business plan. Then you're going to have a company description, which goes into describing your company. Then you're going to have an industry analysis and a trend section where you're describing your industry, analyzing your industry, why you're going into that industry. You're going to have a section on your target market, which is all about your customer and who they are. You're going to have a section on competition where you're analyzing your competition and who they are, what they do, and how you compete with them. You're going to have a section on strategic position and a risk assessment as well. So you're going to think about all of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you're going to do a SWOT analysis, and then you're going to think about like what business you're actually in, what industry you're actually in, who your customers actually are. You're going to have a section for your marketing plan and for your sales strategy. You're going to have an operations section. This isn't really like an operations manual, unless your business plan is solely going to be an internal document. If it is only going to be an internal document, then yes, go ahead, have an operations manual and really outline like all of your processes, your customer journey, et cetera, et cetera. You may have the technology plan. If you're a technology business, you should definitely have a technology plan. If you don't have a technology business, then I would just include some technology information within your operations section. Then you're going to have a section on management and organization. So this is where you talk about your CEO, your founders, your CMO, all of your board of advisors, anyone that's helping you with the business, all of the employees that you have. You may have a section on social responsibility and sustainability if this is something that is important for your business. Then you're going to have a section on development milestones and exit plan. If you're an existing business, then you're going to include like all of your success to date and all of that information to date. If you're a new business, then you're going to talk about things in the future. But really, your business plan should cover about 3 to 5 years. Then you're going to have a financial section. And then lastly, you're going to have an appendix where you're going to include any supporting document that either elaborates on any points within your business plan or that maybe, adds something a little different. But that really helps tell your story. So in regards to preparing your plan, and again, I'm sorry, I am going a little fast, but we're going to end up running a little over with questions and answers, but I do want to make sure that we get through all of the content because it is important content, but then, I'll stay around as long as you need for questions. So talking about preparing your plan, you may want to have a non-disclosure agreement when you're sending this out. The most important thing to keep in mind is that if you're looking for investment, most investors won't sign NDAs. They will probably laugh at you. But if you're sending this to maybe like a partner or an employee, like it's fine. Send out your non-disclosure agreement and make sure, that you let them know that everything that they find within the business plan is completely confidential. But of course, this never really actually guarantees confidentiality. You're also going to want to have a cover sheet, and I'm going to show you an example of that on the next slide. But on that cover sheet, you'll have a logo, the name of your business, the words business plan, the date, maybe a copy number. So if you want to keep tabs on how many you've sent out, then maybe the first one's copy 1, copy number 1, and then copy number 2. You may also put version 2.0 or whatever if you've kind of changed it pretty frequently. You're also going to want to include the name, address, phone number, and email address of the contact person. And then you may want to have a disclaimer or confidentiality statement. So if you are sending this off to an investor, as an example, you may not include a non-disclosure agreement, but you may have a disclaimer on your cover page. And so it'll look something like this. So you'll have your logo. You may have a slogan or a tagline. You're going to write business plan. You're going to write the date. So that might just be the month and the year. You're going to write the contact information for the contact person. And then at the bottom, you're going to have some sort of disclaimer. And the disclaimer could be something like this. So this document is for information only and is not an offering for sale of any securities of the company. The information disclosed herein should be considered proprietary and confidential. The document is the property of your company and may not be disclosed, distributed, or reproduced without the express written permission of your company. All right, making your plan compelling. Let me just double check how many more slides we have. All right, so we're almost done. We'll get through this pretty quickly. All right, making your plan compelling. So remember this, you have about 5 minutes to gain someone's attention. So remember that investors, bankers, and VCs, venture capitalists, are inundated with plans. They get a lot of them. And so you have about 5 minutes to make a positive impression. And so it's important that you make the most important aspects of the business plan jump out. The most important aspects of the business plan are usually the management and organization section, the financial section, and the executive summary. Within the business plan, you're going to want to highlight the specific facts, goals, and conclusions. So really get to the point, let them know why this is important, let them know why they're reading this, and why this is worth their time. And so while you're doing your research, you may want to look at, really impactful statistics, or you may want to include graphs to really drive the point home and to make things a little more visual and colorful. Some of the questions that you might likely hear or that investors might be asking themselves while they're reading your business plan: is the idea solid? Is the market large enough? Are the financial projections actually realistic and positive? Is the management experienced and capable? And how will I get my money back? And maybe even, how long until I get my money back? So you're going to want to increase the reader's interest. Again, the 3 sections that should spark interest are the executive summary, financials, and the management description. And so you may either want to, depending on who you're sending your business plan out to, you may either want to tailor the order of the executive summary or even the entire plan for individual recipients. Also make sure that you're getting the facts straight. So depending on who you're sending out your business plan to, they may be an expert within your industry. And so, if you are writing, if you're just, making up things or including lies, they're going to know. So, just keep in mind that if you are lying within your business plan or making things up or aren't actually doing your homework, then this is going to lower your credibility. And so you want to ensure that all of your facts are correct, and then also make sure that you're citing all of your sources as well, because it's also just going to make you look a lot more reputable and a lot more credible. So length and time period. 20 pages is for the most part sufficient for most businesses, but keep in mind that your business plan should be from 15 pages to 35 pages. If it's less than 10, it just seems like you haven't really done your work. 20 is a good sort of spot for most companies. And then, 30 plus should really only be used for like overly complicated companies or products. Maybe if you have like a tech-based product or a health product, for instance, like you can include more information. And then also keep in mind that this page count does not include your appendix. But also your appendix should not be larger than your business plan. So if you have a 20-page business plan, your appendix should not be 21 pages. And then you may also want to make your business plan travel friendly. So, it should be small enough to fit within someone's briefcase if they're like going on a trip, for instance, or you may want to send it to them through email and, send it to them as a PDF so that they can review it while they're on the plane, or you might want to send them a presentation instead. Language, you're going to want to use language to convey success. So, act like you're already in business, make it seem like you're the best thing that's ever been invented. You're also going to want to use objective language. So, we don't necessarily care about your opinions or, if the founder thinks that this is the best thing ever, we want to hear from potential customers, for instance, and what they have to say. So be careful when using superlatives like, this is wonderful, or this is the best thing ever, or this is unmatched. And it is a good idea to include positive comments from third-party sources. So if you've been in the media, for instance, you can include, some of the highlights of that article, or you can include testimonials. And then you're going to also want to use business and industry terms. But again, this will depend on who you're sending this out to. So, if it is a banker or an investor, then yes, you should definitely be using business and industry terms because they know what this is. But really cater to your audience is what I'm trying to get at. So as far as the layout, design, and presentation, don't cram too much information, within one page. Leave sufficient white space. So, 1-inch margins is great. You should single space your text. You should leave double spaces between paragraphs. You should also keep your paragraph short. So just make it really easy for people to read. You should use headlines, so bold headers to begin each section or introduce a change in topic. Because even within your large sections, you're going to have like smaller subsections. So make sure that you're bolding everything. And again, just making it easy to get through. Some points of style, you're going to want to maybe use numbers for impact. Within the financial data, your financial data should show that you can achieve your goals. You may want to use bullet points to capture the reader's attention. You should know how and when to be redundant. You should use visuals in your plan, so photos, illustrations, charts, graphs, etc. As far as the types of fonts that you should be using, again, anything that's legible. This isn't really a place for like Comic Sans, for instance. So something like Arial or like Times New Roman are perfect. And then lastly, some things to consider. So first and foremost, when you're starting a business, you need to choose a business structure. You also need to figure out like how it is that you're going to go into business. Are you going to start from scratch and be a startup in a small business? Are you maybe going to own a franchise, or are you going to purchase someone else's business? And then also think about the type of business that you're going into. So like what kind of business do you have the capacity to start? Also within your business structure, you want to figure out whether or not it's only going to be you starting it, or if you want to partner with someone else. Another thing to think about is your finances. So earlier we talked about financials and financial control and accessing capital as a factor of a successful business. So, these are just some of the sources for capital. So, you could fund everything yourself through your savings. You could maybe go to a bank and get a loan or a line of credit. You could reach out to a CDFI. So CDFIs and credit unions. CDFIs are community development financial institutions. So they are essentially micro lenders. There are smaller banks that exist and that can give you smaller loans. So maybe you only need $5,000 or $2,500 or $10,000 to start. You may not need to go to a bank for that. You may also get investment from a VC, a venture capitalist, right? Someone who is an investor professionally, who is professional and does this pretty often, or maybe an angel investor. So someone maybe a successful entrepreneur or someone who just has some disposable income. You could also reach out to friends and family and see if, each one of them will pitch in $100, $500 to get you started. Or you could do crowdfunding through GoFundMe, Kiva, and other sources. You could also go to the SBA. So the SBA is an option. I'm not going to go into the specifics of the loan. You can just go to sba.gov. But keep in mind that your banking institution might be a really great place to start. So, there are a lot of banking institutions that are SBA preferred lenders. And what that means is that they are allowed to make decisions on behalf of the SBA. So you may be applying for an SBA loan through your bank, but then the bank themselves are going to decide whether or not they want to give you that loan, and they're also going to manage the payments of that loan as well. All right, so some local resources. So there is an in-store forgivable loan program. There's also Kiva, which is a crowdfunding platform for microloans. There's Jumpstart Philly. There's Startup PHL. There's the Hebrew Free Loan Society. There's the Circle of Aunts and Uncles. There's the Merchants Fund. We work with a lot of clients who have received the Merchants Fund, and this allows you to get access to up to $10,000. And there's also Interface Capital as well. Because we are in the middle of a pandemic, there is some COVID-19 funding that currently exists for existing business owners. There's the Paycheck Protection Program, which is through the SBA, but you would apply through your banking institution. There is the Small Business Debt Relief Program, which allows the SBA to cover all loan payments on SBA loans for 6 months. There's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So, this also has a $10,000 or up to a $10,000 advance. And then there's the Emergency Economic Injury Advance as well, which is offering emergency forgivable advances of up to $10,000 to, oh, sorry, no, this is actually a part of the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So this is the advance that I was talking about that's up to $10,000. Last thing to keep in mind about loans. You know, when you go ahead and apply for a loan, on the other side, so, you know, bankers and those who are looking through your applications are really considering 5 different things. And these are the 5 C's of credit. So they're looking at conditions, which are the factors like interest rate and the amount of the principal. They're also looking at capacity, which is your ability to repay the loan, right? You know, how much debt to income do you actually have? Your capital, this would indicate your level of seriousness. So how much are you bringing to the table? Collateral, this gives banks and investors assurance that you're actually going to pay them back. And then character, this is essentially your credit history. So if you have a 300 credit score, for instance, or 300 as a credit score, you know, this may show them that like you don't actually pay things back often, or, you know, that your payment history is not all that good. Not to say that like if you have a 300 as a credit score, like you can't get a loan, it's just going to make it much more difficult, because like I mentioned earlier on this webinar, most loan providers are looking for applicants to have at least a 600 as a credit score. All right, so I know that I gave you a ton of information. This was a lot to get through, and we're running out of time, but like I said, I will, you know, stay on a little bit longer so that you can ask any questions that you have. But, you know, if this is really overwhelming and you want to sit with a consultant, you can go to our website. You can see it here at the bottom, or you can just go to temple.edu/SBDC and it takes you directly to this link. And so you're going to want to select meet with a consultant or see a consultant so that you can fill out our application so that you can become a client and start working with us. That's really how we work one-on-one with clients. We wait until they become a client through our application process, and then we can officially start working with them. So when you're filling out your application, make sure that you're selecting Temple SBDC as your center of choice. But remember, earlier in the call, I mentioned that we really only work with businesses within Philadelphia County, Lower Bucks County, and Lower Montgomery County. So if you are outside of those counties, then you know, there is another SBDC that could service you. It just won't be Temple. And again, these are some of the services that we offer. We have training programs, events. We have an incubator and co-working space. We offer one-on-one consulting. We help small business owners access capital. And then we also have a legal clinic and a branding team in-house. These are some of the events that we're going to be having. I think Thursday, is that Thursday? Yeah, Thursday, we're having a webinar on COVID and legal contracts. So, you know, if you are currently worried about your contracts through this pandemic, you can go to our website. So again, temple.edu/SBDC, and then you can select events, and then you can kind of see all of the events that we have coming up. On 4/20, which I believe is Monday, yeah, that's Monday. At 12 p.m., we are having a webinar for the tourism and hospitality industry. So this is actually the last of a series. So we've already been doing a few of these webinars for the tourism and hospitality industry. And then, you know, Monday, they're doing the last installment of that. And then if you're interested in, if you're a new business owner and if you're looking to start working on your business plan, and if you just feel very overwhelmed and don't even know where to start, and you need an accountability partner, and you need, you know, someone to really push you, we do have a bootstrapping boot camp, which is our now 8-week business planning course, which is for pre-ventures, you know, for people who have been in business less than a year. We really want to capture those who are struggling and those who are starting out. You can also contact us. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach us at sbdc@temple.edu. You can also call us as well. We're currently having office hours from 3 to 5 every single day. You can find well, not every day. It's Monday through Friday from 3 to 5. So if you have any information or if you have any questions at all, you can go to our website, and there is some information about how you can register and participate within our daily office hours. And then lastly, please support us back. So we are really trying to support our business owners and support the members of our community. And so we hope that you will follow us, that you'll like us, that you'll tag us, that you'll check in, that you'll review us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also sign up for our newsletter on our website as well, which will allow you to find out about all of the events that we have coming up and all of the different opportunities that we have for business owners. All right, are there any questions? I'm sure that there are a bunch of them. So let me go to the chat. And let me stop sharing my screen. Okay. All right, so someone had a question about credit. So someone's asking, how do I increase credit or start a business with bad credit? How can I get started with loans? I'm sorry, I should have waited to ask before you covered it. Thanks. So we actually, I will be sending a follow-up email, and within that, because so our lead office is in Kutztown, and right now they are doing a webinar around credit and rebuilding credit. And so I want to I'll include that information within the email that I will send out as a follow-up to this. So for all of you that have joined this call, I'll make sure to send you an email, and I'll include some information on that. But so for those of you who may not necessarily have the best credit at all, banks might not be an option for you, and they may not be a good option for you, but there are other sources of funding. You can either do crowdfunding, you can tap into your personal savings. Most investors will want to see that you have some skin in the game and that you're investing at least a little bit within your business. So even if you only have $100, invest that into your business. But there's also community development financial institutions, which are CDFIs, and I can also include some of the local ones within the email as well, so that you can kind of reach out to them and see what requirements they have for business owners that they invest in. So yeah, if you have if your credit is not all that good, then loans may not be an option, but there are other options for you. We usually don't talk about grants at the center because grants are very competitive, and they also require a lot of work. So they will require that you already have, maybe a business plan created. They'll require that you have a pitch deck. They may require you to make some sort of video. And then you also have to fill out the application. And then, you're going to be competing with thousands of people who are also going after, that $5,000 grant or whatever the case may be. But I'll include more information on some of those CDFIs within my email. All right, so Jose is asking, how do a couple of independent contractors and self-proprietors separate that business income from their other W-2 income? I separated in what way and where? Would this be within your business plan? Is this within your personal taxes? Or, I just need some clarification on that before I can answer. Pamela is asking, since the meeting is recorded, will we have access to listen later for support? As a lot of excellent information was provided. Great presentation. Thanks, Pamela. So I still received a few questions around whether or not I'll be sending out the presentation. I want to kind of ask my team about this. So I didn't mention this earlier, but I will be teaching Bootstrapping Bootcamp on May 5th. So I am the lead instructor for that, for the pre-venture course. And so, because this information is owned by the SBDC, and because, we are using this information within our course, I'm not sure if I actually want to give out this presentation because there's a lot of proprietary information within this, but I will at the very least We are currently recording this webinar, and so I will include this webinar within that follow-up email. So I'll make sure that you at the very least get the recording of this. Oh, so yeah, so Bootstrapping Bootcamp, I will also include some information on Bootstrapping Bootcamp within the follow-up email that I have been mentioning. It is not free, unfortunately. We've brought the price down, so now it's going to be completely online. It's $200. It's an 8-week course. It's an 8-week course. It's going to be completely online, and it's $200. You can find more information about the course on our website. You can also sign up for the course on our website. And then those $200 does not include the book that you would also have to purchase that we're going to be working with. So there's a $50 book that you would have to purchase on Amazon, and we'll send out that link to you once you register for the course. But it is $200. You don't have to pay for all of it up front. If you wanted to do a payment plan, we are looking to provide a payment plan for this. But I mean, it ends up coming out to like $25 like a class, which is actually pretty reasonable. Okay, so Diane is asking, what are the counties that the Temple SBDC supports? So again, the counties that we support are Philadelphia County, Lower Bucks County, and Lower Montgomery County. If you're not currently in those counties, we will just have to refer you to another SBDC. You can also go to the SBA's website. So if you go to Google and you just put like, you know, SBA, like local resources, it'll take you to a site where you can actually just put in your zip code, and then it'll show you like all of the different resources that are near your location. So it might not just be an SBDC, but it might also just be, you know, an SBA office, or a women's business center, or a veterans business center, or even SCORE as well, which are some of our partners. Do you need to live in one of those to take the 8-week course? So in order to take the 8-week course, I mean, so the 8-week course this time around is going to be live, or it's going to be online. And so, no, you don't have to live in one of those counties to take the course. Anyone can take the 8-week course. But if you wanted to work with us one-on-one, you would have to be a client. And in order to be a client, you need to be in one of those counties. All right, I think this might be the last question. Thank you, Sherelle, for giving me, for supporting me with that answer. All right, Jose, with the idea of creating a biz track. I still don't really understand what you mean. For funding. Okay, it might just be easier if you maybe send me an email, because it seems like this is like a pretty specific question. And so just send me an email at leyanis.sbdc@temple.edu and I'll answer. But because you've kind of sent out a few messages, and I still don't really understand what you're asking. So it might just be easier to see the entire question if you send me an email. All right, so Walter is asking, for your pitch, what are some ways that you can safeguard your idea so your idea for a business doesn't get scooped by someone you show your plan to? So this is something that is a huge concern for most business owners. I will tell you that you know, I've run into a lot of business owners who are scared of sharing their idea, who don't want to pitch. A good way to safeguard your idea is, depending on who you're presenting to, you could ask everyone to sign a non-disclosure agreement. But again, remember that this does not guarantee confidentiality. And actually, you know, most investors will, again, they're not going to sign any NDAs, but also they'll like laugh at, you know, business owners being like scared about sharing their idea, because most ideas aren't unique. So even if your idea is unique, you know, within the city of Philadelphia, if you look at, you know, Europe or Asia, your idea probably already exists. And also investors aren't in the business of like trying to steal your idea. Most of them, you know, are really just trying to help your idea, your business grow, and are looking to invest in your business. And so, you know, they're not even going to be bothered with someone who's like trying to have them sign an NDA, or is really just making their lives really difficult, because, you know, they're not they're in the business of investing, and they're not necessarily like, they don't have the time. If they had the time to start their own business, they would be doing that instead of investing. So just keep that in mind. But I mean, some of the things that you can do again are within the business plan, you can have a disclaimer that says that all of the information is confidential. You can send out a non-disclosure agreement before, if depending on who you're trying to send out your business plan to, you can send out a non-disclosure agreement beforehand. So before you jump on a call, before you give your presentation, you can have them sign that. Or, you can look at maybe getting some protecting your intellectual property. So in the form of like a copyright or trademark or whatever else, that may also be an option for you as well. So even if, if somebody were to steal your idea, then you could go after them legally. All right, any other questions? All right, so it doesn't seem like, okay, so there is one more question. So is there going to be a workshop on the economic injury disaster loan? So there actually have already been a lot of webinars and workshops on the economic injury disaster loan. So I can also send some information on that within that follow-up email. So not only have we been creating webinars, but other organizations have been creating webinars in this respect as well. Jose, you're asking about independent contractors. So the economic injury disaster loan, like that application is actually pretty simple to get through. If you have any questions, if you maybe, because it takes about like 20 to 30 minutes to answer the question, and it's pretty general information about the business and about the business owners. And so if you have, I feel like most of the questions that have stumped my clients who are independent contractors or sole proprietors have been around how much money you brought in last year, what your expenses are, what was the other question? I think that might be it. It might be those two. Oh, and then the last one is what they should, how they should identify, like what organizational structure should they include within the application. If you have some questions around those, just send us an email at sbdc@temple.edu. As far as the expenses that the loan can be used for independent contractors, again, just send us an email at sbdc@temple.edu, or so the EIDL is to be used for working capital, right? So you can use it for payroll, you can use it for, you can't use it to like further expand the business. It's really mostly just for like any bills that you would have been able to pay if you weren't impacted by the pandemic. So, you could think of this as, maybe any commercial property that you own. So like your rent, maybe like your phone bill for your business, any subscription services or whatever, like any capital that you use to really keep your business going is something that you can use the economic injury disaster loan for. But if you have any other questions, like any specific questions about expenses, and if you're not sure, you can either join one of our office hours, which again are Monday through Friday from 3 to 5. You can go to our website. If you just go to temple.edu/SBDC, you'll get some more information on our office hours. And then, if you just want to kind of have a conversation with a consultant one-on-one, just send an email to sbdc@temple.edu and we can help you get through the application. Pamela's asking, how long is each session? So each session is 3 hours. And then what time of the day is the course set for? So it starts May 5th, which I'm pretty sure is a Tuesday. We selected Tuesday this time around. Last cohort was every Wednesday from 6 to 9. This time we're doing Tuesdays, consecutively for 8 weeks. Yeah, Tuesdays consecutively for 8 weeks, and then it's going to be from 3 to 6 p.m. So. Yeah, we're trying out a new time and a new time of day just to see how that works out for us. Since I know, well, we know that, you know, most people right now are working from home. So it might not make sense to do it from 6 to 9 anymore because it might get in the way of, you know, dinner or spending time with your family. So we rather just kind of include it at the end of maybe your work day or, you know, once things are kind of dying down before dinner. All right, any other questions? So for anything that's extremely specific, you can send me an email, leyanissbdc@temple.edu. If you just have more like general questions and if you want like some support on your business, or if you want to start working with us as a client, you can send us an email at sbdc@temple.edu. And then you can also go to our website, temple.edu/sbdc, so that you can get more information on our services, and also so that you can sign up for those services and sign up for our newsletter and just stay in the know about what we're offering and how we're supporting small business owners during this time. All right, so it seems like that's it. There are no other questions. So I am going to stay on for a few more minutes. We're about 10 minutes over. And again, look out for my follow-up email. Within it, I will include a link to a survey, and then I will also include some of the information that was requested today. Thank you.